Hi everybody. I hope when you're watching this that you've given these two problems on the slope formula notes. I hope you've given them your best effort. So, actually I hope this one was easy for you. That when you saw slope-intercept form, you automatically thought y equals m times x plus b. And you remembered m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. And that you remembered slope is the change in y over the change in x, which would mean how much up or down we go from one point to the next, and how much left or right we go from one point to the next. So, you probably, hopefully, looked at this one and said, that crosses the y-axis here at y equals 1, 2, 3. So that would fill in this part for us. The y-intercept is plus 3. And then you counted from one point to the next, down 1, over 1. So change in y was down 1. Change in x was over 1. Can't forget that x. And maybe you simplified that to y equals negative 1x plus 3, or just y equals x, negative x, sorry, plus 3. Now this table, I would say this table is a little confusing because it's not like the tables that I've given you for examples. So you look at this table and you're looking for change. So when x changes by, let's see, negative 5 to negative 2, to get from negative 5 to negative 2, you have to add 3. When you add 3 to x here, let's see, 19, to get from 19 to 7, you've got to subtract 12. Okay, so this went from 5 to negative 2. Now the next change was adding 1. Add 1. And this one was from 7 to 3 is add 4. So from this point to this point, we changed x by 3 and y by negative 12. From this point, this xy coordinate, negative 2 and 7, to negative 1 and 3, we changed x by 1. When x changes by 1, y changes by 4. Sorry, negative 4. Whew. Come on, self. Negative 4. I hope some of you looked at that and said, wait a minute. Okay, so subtracting 4. Now they may not look the same, but we have to understand that slope is just change. It's change between one point and the other. One point and another. So if I write the change in y between these 2 points, so that would be negative 12 minus 12, over the change in x, that was positive 3, and then I write the change in y over the change in x here, negative 4 over positive 1. Are those the same? Why, yes, they are. They are the same because this, if we look at it as a fraction or as a ratio, I can divide the top and the bottom number by 3. I can simplify and get negative 4 over 1, or just negative 4. So the slope here is negative 4. X, and then plus b. Ooh, we usually do, we're usually given where x equals 0. So this is kind of a problem for us. Unless we think of this as, well, let's see. I added 1 here. If I want to find x equals 0, kind of in between here, I would add 1, right? What happens when I add 1 to x? Well, that means y goes down by 4. So this y would go down by 4 since the slope is negative 4 over 1. That means going from 3 to negative 4. When x equals 0, y equals negative 1. So this is actually negative 4x plus negative 1, or y equals negative 4x minus 1. So that was challenging. That was two things that we haven't really talked about. The fact that we just want change between one point and another point on this line. It can be any 2 points because the slope will be the same. And the other thing was, what do we do when we're not given x equals 0? Tomorrow we'll go over that. Tomorrow you'll be able to find a line in slope-intercept form only given 2 points. So that'll be like a little extra tool for you. Now, slope formula. This is going to make finding the slope much easier. Slope formula is pretty simple. I'm going to write it and say it, and then write what I say because you might not be able to understand me. So this is y sub 2 minus y sub 1. So I'm just going to write that y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay, now I know that looks like y squared. It's not. That's why I said y sub 2. I'll explain what this means in just a second. So the way you find slope, slope is just the change in y, or the change over the change in x, between any 2 points. So they give me 2 points on this graph. This point here, that's negative 2 and 2 over 5 up, so that is negative 2, 5. And the other point they give me is 3 over and 0 up or down. So x equals 3, y equals 0. Those are 2 points on that line. Now I can choose whichever one I want to be point 1 and point 2. I just have to be consistent. So I'm going to choose this one as point 1. And I'll make this one point 2 on my line. So that would make the coordinates of this point x sub 1, y sub 1. Make that look more like a comma. And that would make this point here x sub 2, y sub 2. So to find the slope, I can take the change in y, which is y sub 2. Let's go back up to my formula here. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1. Now, why don't I write this out? M equals y sub 2, in this case it would be 0, minus y sub 1, which would be 5. And then I've got x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So I took the time to write these out. X sub 2 was 3 minus x sub 1, that would be negative 2. I'm putting parentheses here so that you can see this is minus a negative. I hope you look at that as, oh wait, that's plus. So now I simplify. I get the slope equals, well, 0 minus 5, that's negative 5. 3 minus negative 2 is the same as 3 plus 2, so that's negative 5, positive 5. And I can simplify that to be negative 1 over 1, or just negative 1. So the slope is negative 1. Okay, so you can find the slope between any 2 points. Now you can see that the slope is -1. We just figured that out looking at the graph. Down 1 over 1. -1, +1. -1, +1. You don't need a graph to do this, I guess is my point. I can select any of these points on this table, should look like that, any of these points on this table as point 1 and point 2. So why don't I take, I'll just take these two middle ones. That'll be easy. Actually, I'll just take, I'll take this one and this one. So why don't we make this point 1 and point 2. You can use any 2 points on the line. So that would make this x sub 2, and this one y sub 2, and this would be x sub 1 and y sub 1. So to find the slope, I'm going to take m equals y sub 2, that's -13, minus y sub 1, which is 7, over x sub 2, which is 3, minus x sub 1, which is -2. And now I just simplify. So -13 minus 7, so -13, -7, that's -20, over 3 minus -2, so that's like adding 2. So that's -20 over +5, and that simplifies to become, 5 goes into -20, -4 times. So the slope is -4. The point slope formula might make things a little bit easier for you. So we've got a packet to work on. After you finish that, we have what's called a logic puzzle, where you work backwards. In tomorrow's activity, we'll be doing a lot of working backwards, so this is kind of like an exercise for your brain. Work hard, people. Thank you.